And we're live. Live proper, I guess. Okie dokie. And we're live. Uh-oh. I can hear myself talking. No. Okay. Cool. Hey, hello. Nice to see you. I should really be streaming more, do more videos. But man, it is rough. It is rough going. My partner and I have been trying to do we make candles in our basement, and we've been going to Ren fairs. We did another Ren fair this past weekend where we sold a bunch, and I sell distill there too. And it is exhausting. It is wicked exhausting. But the stream isn't about that. The stream is about a new project that I'm working on. I'm trying to keep myself very busy all this year. So a couple of months ago, was it a couple of months? I think so. The Gossamer Frontier, which is my solo TTRPG, like a sci-fi Mass Effect / Dragon Age Inquisition adjacent experience. That went live, that funded, and that is currently in the works. That should definitely be in people's hands before September or at September at the very latest. There's a little bit more art to do. There's still a lot more writing to do. Every time I look at the thing, I'm just like, it always feels like there's more, or that I'm doing something incorrectly. So I've been revising a lot of things. But that's the work. And I've given myself plenty of time to do that. It's shaping up. It's just, man, it is frustrating sometimes. It is like head against a wall, frustrating sometimes. It's the hardest game that I've ever had to design, but no stranger to doing those sorts of things. The other project, this one today, Deeds Drawn, is actually it is not a card game. I want to try to. It's very difficult, I think, for me to reconcile that with the fact that it is a TTRPG that uses cards as the medium with which you are telling stories. So in order to do that, the cards are all unique. They all have abstract phrases associated with them. And then you use these phrases like in the culmination of your hand, I guess, is your character. And then you will exhaust certain uses of those phrases during like scenes and stuff. So the scenes present you with challenges. You as a person need to rationalize, okay, what would the challenge be based on the quest that I'm currently on, and what my character is capable of doing. And then you roll, and if the outcome is favorable, then you'll continue on, and you're meant to hit like a bunch of story beats before you complete your deed. And then there's always like a boss battle at the end. But we're actually going to try. We're going to try to show an example of that later on. But before we get to all of that, let's see. So Barth says, how's the book coming? Looking forward to it. It is, well, we just went through it, but yeah, very at times painful. I think it's coming along. It's definitely on track. But it is, I think it's changed a lot is what it came down to. It has changed a lot from what I thought I would be able to do. And then I've just been pushing against the boundaries of the small format. It is a larger challenge that I expected to take on, and is definitely it's putting my design capabilities to the test. But it should be good. I'll get there in the end. Let's see. Wandering Gaming says, Wrel, been watching you since PS2, second year. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, PS2. I've been trying to stay away from that. Just given kind of everything, trying to move on from that section of my life and just design games, because that's what I enjoy doing. It's the thing that I love. It makes me feel fulfilled. And like I said, there's going to be no shortage of work that I'm trying to do to stay creative and trying not to go back to the corporate machine. So prior to this, I was at Amazon in their games division for a year, working on a very interesting, ambitious project that was just corporations do corporation things. That's the long and short of it. It's the very short of it. But prior to that, as you know, was working on actually built Distal, which was my first crowdfunded campaign, and that was awesome. It's 290 some odd pages of just like a TTRPG that people still enjoy and learn about when we go to these events, and they're like excited that a single person was able to design all that. But realistically, it was like the culmination of the community's efforts and good like positive reinforcement to make sure that I'm like moving the right direction and blah blah blah. But what's else? Blah 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 blah. Sorry, it's just my face. Let's look at the campaign, because I want to talk about deeds drawn as it relates to the campaign. I'm not going crazy with it this year, and that is something that is. Oh, this is my big dumb face. So deeds drawn, a high fantasy card-based pocket TTRPG. Like I tried to explain before, it is a TTRPG in using cards as the medium. So instead of a book, imagine little bite-sized books. The game itself, there's some information here, but like it says, it goes quest by quest, well, deed by deed, really, and scene by scene. And then you're using your character, leveraging your advantages to overcome the challenges that are associated with each scene. And those scenes they take interpretation. So it is a thinking game, it is a narrative game, and you try to make sure that that your character is able to make it to the end, basically. And like it says here, cards as resources, GMless, solo, or group play. The group play still needs to be hammered out, but it is by hammered out I mean just like the nitty gritty. There's a lot of the gameplay details that need nitty gritty refinement, but again, that's the reason that you'd support this project, is because you believe that I'm capable of doing those things, is getting to the end goal, making sure it's fun for everybody and is interesting, something that you want to be able to have on your shelf or in your pocket or whatever. So the group play would basically be like, the deck is large enough for you to create multiple characters, and then you would go as a party and overcome these challenges. And you can, when the party gets larger, you can like create more acts or chapters. Acts are probably better to have like a longer, like a more epic adventure. The project itself, this is really like wicked straightforward. This is the only, technically there's two tiers, but this is like the main tier that you get the game. You just get the game, it is what it is, and then if enough people do enough things, we'll make it a little bit better. So right now, I want to give out like templates for these cards, so you can homebrew them. You can maybe throw them in sleeves or whatever, and then play them with your deeds drawn. Or if you have a character that you really like in a game like Dragon Age or your Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and you want to recreate them for deeds drawn, you can do that by virtue of just having these card templates, and then you'll write in the details, and you'll pick like which stat they have access to, and then you'll be able to just play with them as your character and create new scenes and that sort of thing. In order to hit this goal, this here at 100 likes, comments, votes, these are all interactions. That's it. So like if you, let's see if I can go to a different scene here. Does that work? Cool. So these are interactions. So when you see a post or an update, just comment on it, like it. I'm going to be putting out polls throughout this campaign, vote on those polls, and then as we accumulate these likes, comments, votes, then this gets unlocked, and then everybody's stuff gets better. So card templates. Everybody would get that. More cards at 250 likes and comments, votes. Going to be adding more cards to this, so the deck itself will be larger. Right now it's 55 flat, but the next like cutoff is 72, and it can keep getting larger if we really wanted it to. But the point is that the manufacturer has like specific cutoffs, and I can only fit so many cards in a tier. And I think 72 is the next bump up. But I also have like a handful of cards that I know will make the experience more interesting and varied. And I want to do more than that. I just haven't. Like, these are ones that I have already planned out. But yeah, like, comment, vote, whatever. Foiled edges for the cards. Once this goal is achieved, the card gets foiled edges. These are Facebook shares, 250. That's a lot. So if everybody, you fund the campaign, or you make a pledge rather, go share it on Facebook, that counts. And these achievements, actually, if you look at updates, community, my face. So right here, you'll be able to like see the progress, or you press this share on Facebook button. Let's join the conversation. What's this do? Well, it'll ask me to log in and stuff, but yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, Barth, the backing amount thing, I always felt like it's very static. You're just kind of like crossing fingers, and then it's interesting when people get over the threshold and you're like, hey, I get more stuff. But it puts a lot of the onus on, there's no control, right? So if you're capable of contributing and other people are capable of contributing, you can kind of like encourage each other. If people are commenting and then people are commenting on those comments and liking those comments and that sort of thing, I think those count too toward these goals. So like that's all interaction that can help like push things forward. And importantly, from my side, when you have a community that is liking, commenting, voting, that sort of thing, the project itself appears higher up on the ranking and backer kit, which means that more eyes will get drawn to it, and hopefully it'll help like kind of snowball it, or at least like push the boulder up the mountain. Let's see. What was your inspiration for this concept? It is, so I wanted to do, okay, so BackerKit is doing a Pocketopia right now, which is their big event. And actually there's a bunch of things where you can, so I'm part of the Solo Ready banner situation. So there's like there's a handful of other creators doing things under this specific banner. And if you go back at least 3 of them, then you'll get free stuff from each of those creators, provided you've backed at least 3. This one, Jason and the Argonauts, I'm just looks really cool. And they have like, can you see it on screen? Yeah, like they had like more than 2,000 people following this campaign. So Envy Board Games has like a lot of followers, but I was like, wow, what are they making that I should know about? But this is actually like a follow-up to a game that they had done previously, or maybe something in the same universe that they've done previously, which is super cool. But yeah, so you can like go back these creators, and then they'll all have something interesting to give away. So for me, there's a handful of things, but anybody who, if you're like a banner backer, so you get 3 pledges within the Solo Ready Games Solo Ready Games banner, then you get a sticker. And this, I love the Wild Walker character. This was like one of the coolest lineages in Distal, which I'll get back to your question, Barth. So I knew that BackerKit was running this Pocketopia event, which is like pocket-sized games, and that's what the whole event is, and that's going through May. And I was like, I want to get in on that. It'd be fun. And I was thinking, okay, what can I do that I don't need a whole bunch of art to do, something that I'm reasonably confident that I can get done in a short amount of time because I'm doing a bunch of other stuff this year, and it would still like look good, feel good, play well. So doing a card-based game or card-based like a pocket TTRPG using Distal's art, the vast majority of which is done by Grey Herb, who's also doing stuff for Gossamer, I was like, yeah, no, that totally makes sense because all of the cards will look good. I'll have a bunch of the art is always the hardest thing, I think, because unless you've been doing this for a long time, or unless you have a bunch of money up front, or been, working on the same project and then finally get it to a crowdfunding phase, like when you're ready to kickstart it or whatever, you just lack visuals. Usually a lot of crowdfunding is so that you can get the money to get the art, to make the game, to do the thing. And I think that people who are able to start from the other side, start from the art, they already have it, and then kind of just make the game proper, they have a real advantage. But anyway, this is not that specifically, but since I had the art, I was like, yeah, let's use it. The art is awesome. Not enough people have seen it from Distal, and we can do something really, really cool with it. So a lot of this art, I'm gonna have to get some more too, is from Distal. Let's see. Yeah, most plan for the tiers to be guaranteed by the end of the campaign. Look at DM layer, new video on what? Oh, interesting. I don't think I know the DM layer, but cool. Yeah, so we got a few backers already. Thank you very much. And if you're listening to me run my mouth, you get bonus points for just existing and suffering through it. So thank you again. But to move on to the stretch goals, I think that these are all really achievable by the end of the campaign if we get enough people who are interested. So the folks who have pledged already, if you do the Facebook shares, tell more people about it, and then hopefully we get some snowball action, and then just everybody gets a better product at the end. Also, so returning backers also get 7 Gossamer Frontier themed cards to go with Deeds Drawn. It's a little bit, multiverse situation going, but frankly, there's just cool art in Gossamer Frontier, and I wanted to use that here for the backers. So if you can do this 2 ways. You can either click here. It's going to take you to a pledge tier that is both Deeds Drawn and Gossamer Frontier. There's only 2. I was debating putting Distal back up here, but frankly, I don't have that many books left that aren't limited edition, and I've been selling them at Ren fairs, so I'm trying to hold on to my stock, which is maybe a little bit counterproductive. Anyway, but if you have already backed Distal, or if you've already backed Gossamer Frontier, you don't need to do this tier. Oh, hold on, let me do a little bit more. There we go. Sorry. If you've already backed Gossamer Frontier or Distal in the past, you don't need to do this tier. You'll still get the 7 bonus cards, the ones that are Gossamer Frontier special, just by getting this basic thing here. And then this is just the game in its entirety, and that's it. Didn't want to make this overcomplicated, and I was racking my brain because there's a lot of people who want to spend more to get the special edition, but for this campaign, in order for me to do that, I would have to get minimums. It was like this for the limited edition of Distal too, but I'd have to do a whole separate order with either a separate box or custom whatever, and then put it at a higher price tag, and then I would have to hope that there were enough people who were interested. And this concept in general is I don't see other games go this direction. Not really. There was one called it's called Weave that they were trying to do something similar, but it was on the phone, and you would like everybody would take their phone out, and then you would have like cards on the phone, and then you'd have a GM who is like going through and figuring out different scenarios to put the characters in, and then you would be playing it that way. And I think it was a card game. Sorry, let me take that back. It was a card game too, because I have it downstairs. But it was very difficult to understand what you're supposed to be doing. And that was, to me, like a little bit of a red flag. And I'm just hoping that my version of this is a little bit more digestible than what they had going on. And a lot of it, I think, came down to instructions. Like, they didn't really... I think they expected you to come from a specific background. Like, oh, I know how to play TTRPGs, therefore I'll just like kind of make everything up. Which I think is fine. But there also wasn't enough there to like push you toward, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing this wrong? Anyway. All right. Gotta love having consistent artists. Yeah. Gray is awesome. Super easy to work with. Very reliable. He's cool with me, like giving feedback and helping shape the vision as well. And yeah, he's just super fun to work with. What's up? Okay, so that's it. That's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions about the game, we are going to actually move on to... I'm almost hesitant. I am hesitant to do this, but I want to move into Tabletop Simulator. And I don't want people to get the wrong idea. This is a physical card game. It's like... Actually, yeah, let me show you the prototype. So way back... so this was back like in January. It was somewhere toward the start of the year. And I had the idea for this game, knowing that it was going to be, like knowing what it was going to be. And you can see it's like kind of like more Magic card themed. You have like a major, like a big picture up here, and then there's this little area that has just like phrases on it. And there's like stats, strength, and sight. There's 3 stats in the game: strength, sight, and soul. And you would take a lineage card, and then you would also take a class card, and then you would have 4 like traits, and one of those would be like a combat style or a weapon. But the types of traits that you'd get were actually these little were the stats. This is not going to work. Well, anyway, this one says +2 soul. So I would know that, like, oh, okay, I can get 2 soul traits. And some traits or trait cards were like hybridized. And I thought that was fine, especially if I cleaned it up. Again, this was a prototype. And then we have these sort of oracle cards, which there's no way. Let's see. Do thing. Kind of, almost. There we go. So at the top, there's this quest, which is a prompt. Can you still hear me? A prompt that uses brackets, and then there's like a bunch of fill in the blank options here. So you'd pull multiple of these cards, and you still do this in Deeds Drawn currently, and that creates the quest that you then go on. And then the rest of it was just make it up. Just like, this is the quest. There were like some oracle phrases here at the bottom that are like you can ask questions. Like one was a positive thing, one was a negative thing, and then one was like the answer to a question. Anyway, this game didn't work. It was not good. And the reason why, probably multiple reasons, but the reason why is that there just wasn't enough structure to feel like you were doing anything other than just like make believe, you know. And we do that in D&D every day. So I'm like, to me, it made sense. To me, it was like, okay, well, you have a character. The character's legit, and they have certain things that they can do. And just like a character in D&D, the GM, which would also be you, is like setting a difficulty for like a challenge that it arises, and then you'd roll against it. And then if you didn't make the roll, then you'd like your character would take a hit or a wound or whatever, and then those cards would tap. Which, can I say tap? I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to do that. We would exhaust that card, and then you'd need to like find some downtime to rest. And if sometimes you take a wound, so you'd like lose capability over time. That all is actually still present in the current iteration, but there's more mechanical structure now that makes the game feel a little bit more connected. And we'll walk through some of that in Tabletop Simulator, but I will warn, this is not done. There are questions that I have about the rules, or are things that don't feel punchy. There are things that are like, you'll climb the mountain, and then like the end of it is a kind of like okay, I guess that's it. I guess I win. And I don't want that. I don't want you to say like, well, I guess I did it. I want you to say like, this was the climactic encounter. You definitively beat them, and therefore, the day is saved once again, thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. So we're going to move into Tabletop Simulator. But again, I'm going to throw that disclaimer like up into the world. It is a work in progress. Also, it feels worse. It will feel even worse because it is virtual. So kind of want to caution that up front. But let's jump in. And Henry says, it's a little different when you're both the DM and the player, I think. Yes, and I think that I'm still hitting that roadblock when I'm playing the current version. So I'm coming from the perspective of like a GM, like I do this stuff all the time. At least, well, okay, I do this stuff all the time. I have done this stuff a lot in the past. Haven't had a table to sit down at and forever, but that's neither here nor there. Let me bring up the game, and then we'll jump into it. I wonder if the game itself needs to be slightly more assertive because of that. Yes, exactly. Jake Smith says the project sounds really cool. Thank you. Oh, I have annoying audio on. Let's see. Okay, let me switch over. All right, so this is, again, let me throw this work in progress. I'm using Tabletop Simulator for demo purposes only. The real game is physical, not digital. So let's try to. I'll try. Just let's keep it all in perspective. All right, hold it together. So the cards have changed from that little version. You'll see. Let's zoom in. So they all have these little indicators here. This is so first off, stylistically they change, right? It's a little bit darker. You'll see some of them have a like a bumper here at the top that is an ability that is only present when this card is upright. So it's like a passive ability when the card is upright. And then you have some of them that are only present when they're on the side. So when resting on another soul, also rest me, which means if there is a card with a soul, so let's see if I just shuffle this a little bit. Okay, so if this one were to get rested because you did downtime, like this one, it would also get rested. So it's like a twofer. And this is an example of a character. Like this is it. And I have questions as to whether or not I want to stick with the two traits and then one lineage, one class, or if I want to go to 4 traits. That's all a feel conversation, and that's going to be done through like playtesting, that sort of thing. So I'm not concerned about it. I just want to be aware. What is rest? Okay, cool. So when you approach a scene, let's look at this one here. So this is the challenge, and feedback is helpful here too, because I need to know whether or not it is specific enough for you to think about what you need to do to overcome it. You could read it literally, like, okay, rushing, raging, a river runs through it, and then think about my character. Do I have anything that can help me ford a river? Do I have anything that can help me, like go around the river or whatever? And if I don't, that's a problem. And then I need to improvise. And then improvising is just like you roll 1d6 instead of 2d6. And then if you have a success, then it is a draw. If you have 2 successes, then you overcome the encounter. But I'm getting ahead of ourselves. But so if I were to, let's say that I did have something down here, actually. Okay, so let's say that I used my lineage, which has this phrase, impossible to topple. I think it would be reasonable, or maybe unlikely, and those are tiers of difficulty: reasonable, unlikely, long shot. Just like Gossamer Frontier, that it would that I could ford this river, or that I would have an advantage doing this. That's basically it. Another way to think of it, as far as difficulty tiers go, is does my phrase directly solve the problem? If yes, it is reasonable. Does it indirectly solve the problem? If yes, that is unlikely. Does it attempt to help to solve the problem? That is probably a long shot. So there's like ways that you can kind of read this. But if I were to use this and say like, okay, impossible to topple, I think that it is reasonable. I think it's unlikely if they're a dwarf and like it's a river. If I were to use this, I would just tap it. That's it. This is now exhausted. So during downtime, or if I have any other like abilities on these cards, I might be able to rest this card in advance. And to rest it means to just put it upright. That's it. So that it can be used in a scene. I'm getting way ahead of ourselves. We're not actually playing the game yet, but we're just explaining some stuff. Henry says something like untap it. Yeah, you probably beat me to it like 30 minutes ago. I can't help but to run my mouth. That's a neat use of orientation. Thank you. The most difficult part was actually designing the cards so that they weren't too obtrusive. And this is, despite my best efforts, it's just very difficult to see on Tabletop Simulator. But yeah, so like some of these will have something on the side. Some of them will have on the top and the side, but I still wanted you to be able to see the picture. And that was like the hardest part because I didn't want you to feel like so crowded in by the card. But you can let me know if that's the case. I also had to, like when you're designing these cards, see how there's this gap here? That's for the manufacturers in case they don't cut things, in case the machines have inaccuracy when they cut things, they ask you to put like a little bit of a safe zone. And because of that, there's just like a lot of dead space around the edges of the card that you think would be able to be used, but aren't if you want to make sure that things don't get cut off. So it's kind of whack. Let's see. Will the cards also include distal art? Yes. Distal art. So these are the actual cards in their current iteration. I'm going to go through, like these icons are probably a placeholder. Some of the decoration probably placeholder. And in my little crappy art, it might stay. because frankly, it's just like there's too much art, and I'll never have enough money to do everything. But I will probably, like, this stuff didn't take me all that long to do. There's a bunch of these, and some of them are probably more interesting than others. But I will probably almost certainly go back through and clean a lot of it up, because I was just jamming on icons. Your crappy art looks just fine. Ah, thank you. You make do with what you have. All right. Let's see. How big are you planning the instruction book / pamphlet? That is a good question that I don't know the answer to yet. And it really depends on how well I can articulate a rule set in a small amount of space. So let's play through what I have now and then see, again, some of these rules will change. Big disclaimer up there on the top left. But let's play through what I have now. And so I've tried to format the instructions, and I always end up being a little bit wordy. Part of that's because the game isn't fully complete. Part of it is because I haven't spent that much time on the instructions, but I want it to be concise. I need it to be step by step and feel like you can do it start to finish without more than like an accordion, like probably like an accordion the size of a card. It has like 5 different surfaces on it, somewhere like that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so first off, we'll make a character. And this is going to be... so 1 lineage, 1 class, 1 trait, and then 1 weapon, which is also a trait card, but started calling those something different to kind of define them. As your character progresses, optional, but the goal would be to acquire more traits. Ideally, the goal would be to acquire more traits that are in line with what your character has struggled at, I think. I have a few ideas on how this should be structured, but I don't think we're quite there yet. Anyway, so let's pick a random lineage, a random class, a random trait, and a random weapon. Just gonna shuffle these things. Boom, boom, boom. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. In actuality, you won't be shuffling. You'll be picking the stuff that you want to pick. We could put it to a vote, actually. But as an example, this could be my character. They could be a... Thank you, Miss Melatonin. So my character would be a Wild Walker, which if you've played Distal, they're blessed or cursed with the ability to shapeshift into animals. So that's why they have this animal form phrase down here. And they're mostly like reclusive and stuff. And then they are a Justicar class, which are essentially your paladin equivalent, though they don't necessarily need to be, they don't need to be like sworn to a church. They could be sworn to like an oath or a cause. I guess that is like a paladin, but they're usually pretty zealous. And then you have a trait, which this one is disciple. So I'm some sort of acolyte of some faith, which, these two make sense together. And then the weapon that I have is some sort of great weapon. Maybe it's a halberd or a great axe or a great sword. And this is my character. If I really wanted to, if I was into journaling, excuse me, this would be something that I would perhaps write down. I would name my character. I would perhaps come up with a backstory for them. I could take them into Distal and recreate this character there, or vice versa. Take a character from Distal and then recreate them in Deeds Drawn to play this more like simple card-based style of play. And then let's get rid of all of our other cards. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it. Tabletop Simulator. I just downloaded this last night, and I'm gonna group all these up, flip them over, and then we're just gonna we're just gonna put them over here somewhere. Okay. So this is again my character, and this is my hand, and now we're gonna come up with the deed that we're trying to accomplish. In order to do this, we have these cards. These are your scene cards, but on the back of them, so these are the scenes, but on the back of them, there's the deed, and it is a. Let's see if we can zoom in. See if we can zoom in here. Nope, that does not help at all. Well, this is as far as I can zoom. Person is leverage threat to harm nearby settlements. So these bracketed areas need to be filled in by stuff down here. So every card has some of these things down here. And since we know that person is leveraging threat to harm nearby settlements, we're just simply taking these two, or we're going to draw two cards, and take these, throw these somewhere else, get out here. And now we read it by filling in the blanks. So we have a person who would be a new recruit, is leveraging threat, is leveraging elemental forces, okay, to harm nearby settlements. So that is our start to finish. This is the deed. So I'm actually just going to write it in here on Tabletop Simulator. But if you had like a note card or a notebook, this is where the journaling components can come in. So we're going to say person, who's the person? A new recruit is leveraging elemental forces to harm nearby settlements. So if we take a moment to think about this, just real quick. If you hold the card and scroll wheel, you can look closer. I'm going to say, hold on. Holding the card, scroll wheel. Nah, it's turning it. Oh well. Okay, so if we take a moment to think about this a little bit more, a new recruit is leveraging elemental forces to harm nearby settlements. What I think is happening, and my role in this, is that I don't know, maybe the new recruit is part of some, maybe like a school that is meant to teach somebody how to control their capabilities. Maybe they are an elementalist that has not yet been given training and is kind of just, in Dragon Age Inquisition, where the Dalish elves, you can't have too many mages in one clan. So if they have too many mages, they send like other mages just out into the world. So like, okay, go deal with it. You'll be off by your own. Good luck. That could be like a similar situation where the reason that they don't want too many mages in a clan is because it makes things very like dangerous. So I think our new recruit is, I don't like the word recruit in this particular case. And I think that they're leveraging elemental forces to harm nearby settlements. I'm taking this in a way more innocent breakdown of what we've been given. And I think that my goal as a character is to probably tamp down the whatever elemental forces themselves are causing damage to the settlement. So I will need to journey to said settlement and then try to quell whatever is, I guess, the end boss. I didn't articulate that very well. But anyway, this is our deed. Okay, so you can think about it, and we're going to shuffle this back into the deck, flip, place here. And then the other thing is that we're going to draw some like main story beats as far as scenes. And I'll do that really quick. Yeah, it's Alt and hover. Yeah, but it's also like this. This is like the same Alt and hover. It's like I can't zoom in any more than that, which is whack. It should be like half page. Okay, so let's say, so I know my deed, and I'm going to do a little bit more interpretation by virtue of drawing 5 scenes. So we're just going to shuffle, 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 and we're just going to throw 5 of them out here. 4, 5. Okay, and then the rest of these, we're just going to keep over here somewhere. So we have a chapel, a warren, hightown, farmland, and a garrison. So these are scenes, and you can take it or leave it as far as like the names of these locations, but every scene card has 4 different orientations. These orientations they're also marked with like a time of day, and I might need to go in and like clean up the messaging on some of these, but this is your dawn, and again, it's harder because we can't zoom in enough. This is day, this is dusk, and this is night, which I'll probably go back through and just make this one empty with a thicker ring on the outside. But anyway, we can choose whatever time of day to start our event, but we're going to be moving through our story by virtue of trying to hit all 5 of these beats. And once we do, we know that we are then at the end of the deed. The other thing that we're going to do to kind of like round this all out is to figure out a foe that we're going to fight at the end. So this could be like the big bad. It could be the new recruit that is leveraging elemental forces, and we need some way to like convey that. Or it can be, maybe it's like the elemental forces themselves. Maybe there was something that was summoned, and I'm using that as a little bit of a spoiler because I can take this, spread it. There's a specific card that I'm going to draw here, and then this is going to be our, flip this, put that down. And this is going to be our big bad. So this is a salamander from Distal. And again, I love the art on this stuff. And it also has 4 different orientations. And the difference between a foe and a scene is that a foe, once you do damage to it, it will rotate a number of times based on that damage, and then you'll fight it again. Like you'll keep contending with the different challenges that it's throwing at you in singular until it is defeated. So basically at the end of the act, once we've hit all 5 of these story beats, we will then fight that, and that will be the end of the deed. And at this point, I would say we rationalize the story as we go. If you are big into journaling, this is where you can slow down a bit and take every step moment by moment. But if you just want to play the card game, then you can do that too. And I'll walk through how. Okay, that was a lot. All right. Again, this is our character, Wicked Dope. And we're totally going to forget about it. But let's choose where we start. And we can choose what time of day we start too. So I know in advance, actually I'll flip these so we're not paying attention to them. I will call on these later, but this is what we're going to focus on. So me being a wild walker, Justicar, disciple, I am probably part of an order, let's say, that is called upon to deal with elemental forces specifically is actually kind of interesting for me, but Justicars are more flavored toward like dealing with undeath and stuff. But I think that just like preserving balance, similar to a way that a druid would, by virtue of quelling the forces that would seek to disrupt it. Like that's kind of what I'm going to, the burdens that I'll place upon this particular character here, the rationale. And then we're going to say that they start in the Warren. and we'll just do that challenge first. And then we'll see where it goes by the end. But we'll end up fighting this dude at the end. So I'm going to choose a time of day to start. Typically, this would be like dawn. And this is slumbering guardians threatening to awaken. So you can take this to mean different things based on like where you're at in the story. So again, this is abstract. It's meant to be something that you interpret, and the bias is that you should try to do stuff that your character is going to be especially useful at, because eventually, probably, you will hit a dead end where you'll be like, I don't have anything that can help me with this particular problem, and then you'll need to improvise, or you'll take the hit, and that will be kind of how it wears down a character. But we'll say that as I'm moving through the Warren, I'm using my animal form to just like sneak by. Maybe the reason that I'm in the Warren in the first place is just because I thought that would be a nice place to rest, you know? And we could even pick up the story like mid adventure. Like maybe we already knew that this settlement needed help from these elemental forces, and we are on our way there, and we've like stopped for the night. This is like where the interpretation comes in. So slumbering guardians threatening to awake. I'm gonna exhaust this card, and I'm gonna say that I'm using my animal form to like sneak by, feel like I'm a part of all the other animals here, and that is a very reasonable thing to do, in my opinion, in this particular instance. And I know that a reasonable result requires one success. However, in Deeds Drawn, a draw, so if I only get one success, a draw is a failure. It is one hit against me. So ideally, I'm looking for 2 successes or more. I don't know if I'm going to keep that rule, but it makes the math a little bit more interesting based on the adventure. So let's shake these. I'll toss them. 1 success. So that's a draw. So that is a hit against me. When I take a hit, I choose something to exhaust, like this, for example, or I can choose to burn a card, which is I flip it. So this means that I can no longer use it for the remainder of the adventure, and that sucks, right? So we're going to exhaust. We're going to choose something to exhaust, something that I don't think I'll need to use for a while, because eventually we'll be able to rest and get our stuff back. But we still want to have some gas in the tank for later. So I'm going to say that we just tap that. Okay, that's it. The next thing that we're going to do is we will move. So that was dawn, actually. So it's daytime now. And let's, as we leave the Warren, let's see, as we leave the Warren, I want to, some of these are similar. I'm not sure how I feel about that. We find somebody who is in need, and then we're going to help them. This says, those in need, stranded, cart and horse. So we leave the Warren, we're into the open fields now, and we try to find a way to help them. So I think that they're stranded, cart and horse, maybe somebody is injured. This seems like it would be reasonable given our current situation. And again, the bias is you're trying to do favors for yourself, because that is, I think, what humans are going to tend to do. They're going to try to stack the deck in their favor. And again, eventually the game is going to get you. So we're cool with that. But I think that as I move through, leaving the Warren, leaving probably a thicker forest, going through farmlands, going through just like traveling to my destination, I see somebody who is injured and they're stranded and they need medical assistance. So I'm going to attend the injured here. And that is what I'm using in this particular instance. I think that it is reasonable that I can do that. Therefore, I need 1 success. But again, draws are a fail. So we really want 2 successes. So we roll. and we get 1 success. So that means that we need to we need to exhaust another card. So at this point, we're like tapped out. We've gone 2 of the 5 scenes, and we need to rest to get some of our stuff back. In order to do that, I just pull another card. We're going to flip it, but we're not actually going to use it. Just whenever you rest, you take a cycle to do so. And this I'm a little bit back and forth on too. Again, everything's a work in progress. The rules are still being sorted, the details, the minutia. But the dusk here, we're going to rest. And in order to rest, realistically, again, I've been back and forth on this, but we should be resting. So if you rest at night, is the most recent rules I had, again, work in progress. The most recent rules I had were if you rest at night, you get all your cards back. If you rest not at night, you need to gain 1, you get 1 card back. So we're actually just going to rest this 1. And this is part of the thing where like I don't really feel good about this. It doesn't make me all warm and fuzzy. And then we're going to rest again. So we're going to draw another card, flip this, and then we're just going to take the night to rest. So the reason that these cards are now, like we have more. These were not a part of our initial 3. Therefore, they're not our main story beats, and therefore we're not making progress. We're wasting time. If at any point in your adventure you pass 3 days, you'll lose. You can make that more difficult or less difficult based on how hard you want to push it. But again, my goal is to beat all the main story beats. But we'll just rest these cards up. Stopping for chat in just a moment. Let's see. Perhaps someone affected by the elemental stuff. Returning back here, really been enjoying the smaller RPG games. Thank you, Morganite. I like that name. Yes, I'm hoping that, the release of Deeds Drawn, it'll happen at the same time, like physical in people's hands, as Gossamer Frontier. So September is the timeline, and I should have no problem getting this done at all. Excuse me. I was talking about the cart encounter. Oh, okay, got it. Let's see. Barth says, any way to get the success range to be bigger than 3, 4, 5, 6? Okay, so that is something that I've been back and forth about as well, and here's the reason why. So these icons match up with a general icon of a scene. There are a few ways to swing this particular benefit. One of which I was thinking is if you use a matching icon to get a 3rd dice. The problem is that math is really, really powerful, and it would mean 2 things. It would mean that player behavior is catered to always using something with a matching, icon. Which, even if you have like a long shot, which you need 3 successes in order to draw, you would have a much higher chance of doing that. So like you could pick some nonsense, for a scene, and mathematically you'd still be in pretty good shape. And that's not the behavior that I want. Like I want players to do what's best for the story, and in conjunction with what their characters are capable of. So the other alternative is that I was thinking that one of these dice can be re-rolled if you have a matching icon in these locations. So the incentive is it is less prominent there, and the downside is actually that if you do get 2 successes, you're like, well, I don't want to. This is actually 3 successes. you're like, oh, I don't want to roll. I don't want to re-roll anything and mess that up. So that doesn't feel good either. I thought about if you use a matching icon in a location, you don't exhaust that card. I've thought about if you enter a location, with a matching icon, you get to rest a card that is related to that. And that was the latest or the last thing that I thought of. And I still need to play through it. Like I haven't actually tested that out yet, but I think that the flow might feel pretty good if you're doing that. But I'm open to ideas. Although if the simple matching was a mechanic only some of the time, it might not be that bad, especially if the matching isn't just a direct upgrade. Yeah, and that's where I'm trying to make sure that I don't enter that direct upgrade territory. So is a middle possible condition the range to roll 4, 5, 6? Middle possible. I don't think I'm understanding, Barth, but the conversation may have moved on from that. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, I have now rested. It is nighttime, so the next card that I'm going to pull is going to be one of these three, because I'm good to go at this point. I've rested up. And the thing about rest, though, well, maybe I'll show you at the end. No, I'll tell you now. So the thing about rest is that the more that you rest and you pull these extra cards, these cards act like the life bar for the foe at the end. So ideally, you try to move as quickly as you possibly can through these events, because the end boss will be easier to take care of. And the more so if you just go and you kind of push your time, it's, you're still within the 3 days and that's fine. But once you get to the end, it's going to wear you down. It's going to kick your butt. The difficulty of the action, I forgot your 3 terms. Oh, okay. So it's a middle possible. Oh, okay. Yeah. So one success is needed for reasonable. Well, okay. I say one success. I need to stop doing that because a draw is a fail. The reason that I say it that way is because some cards have draws related to undeath or a hit. So turns of scales and okay, you drew, but it's a hit. And when you're building a character, you will be paying attention to these sorts of benefits and trying to balance things out. We just chose random stuff. And while that's fun, it's not really, I'm not doing myself any favors because there's no synergy between the cards. But one success would be a hit. 2 successes is totally jacking up my terminology. So if a challenge is reasonable to overcome based on your approach, you require 1 success. If a challenge is unlikely, it's 2 successes. If a challenge is a long shot, it's 3 successes. I think I see what you're saying now. By saying that if you get more than the 3, maybe you could mitigate that draw. Not sure if that's what you're saying, but anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on so we don't get stuck here. Okay, so after we're in the farmlands, we're moving through, we're helping people. We are. Oh, I don't know what happened to that dude. Did I fail? Well, I drew, and I wonder what narratively that would be. So it is reasonable that I help them, but I think a draw is just that it requires more effort than I would have liked. So that's why I tapped another card. I think that I still, was able to help heal them, and maybe they're on their merry way. Maybe they're telling me about the garrison that is in the town that is currently under attack by whatever. So I get rested up, and let's see, this was day, so now it is evening, so I'll just drop that here. And it says, spotted by that which spies you. So ideally, I would find something that allows me to hide, or allows me to be elusive. I have this wilderness elusivity, but I think that if I'm approaching a town, then maybe it's not quite as viable. But if I use an animal form, maybe I can walk behind a building and then turn into whatever my animal form is, maybe like a fox or something like that. But it also says that I'm spied by, or like spotted by something that spies on you. So it would assume that they kind of already have an idea that I'm approaching. So I'm gonna use the animal form on this. I think that is legit. Nope. And then we're going to, I think it is reasonable that I can elude suspicion and sneak into wherever I need to sneak into by doing that. So we're aiming for 2 successes. And I got 1, which is another draw. That is obnoxious. I think I've just done nothing but drawing the entire time. But I have choices. So one of the things that so if I would have failed this, what I would have done, and this is something that needs to be worked out, what I would have done is started a combat encounter. So I would say, okay, what spied me? Well, at this garrison, we enter a situation where you then have to deal with, like, if the prompt seems as if it is a hostile action and it could provoke a fight, you are more than willing and welcome to bring in another card and that matches that situation. So this says, and you match the orientation of the scene. So it says arrows and missiles slung from afar. So let's say that they see me, and I'll burn another. Let's see, I'll burn another card too, or tap one from earlier. So I start an encounter, and then I have to deal with that. Arrows and missiles flung from afar. The thing that is most useful, I think, for me is that I'm a walking fortress. So I'm going to try to overcome that situation with this card. And I think based on this, it is reasonable. So I'm going to try to get another two. Please don't screw. Okay, so 2 1s. Okay, well, screw me, I guess. We're gonna orient this, and then we're gonna burn this card. So this is just can no longer use it. I'm not sure what to do with 2 1s, but that was like the thought that came to mind. And then 2 6s boxcars would be like, you could, potentially heal a car, or heal a card. It'd be like a second wind. But now I'm just like, I messed up. So since I got 2 failures, I only needed 1 success, but I'm going to rotate this card 2 times. So we're going to move it this way. It says Titan coordinated, guarded from assault. So what we're going to do to try to deal with that is, I don't know if these are actually super helpful. It says brace for the charge, but they're not like attacking. They are Titan coordinated. Guarded from assault. Okay, it's probably unlikely, but I'm going to try to do some broad swipes with my great weapon. So this would be, in this particular instance, would mean that I need to hit 3 successes, which is just wildly unlikely. Actually, I already jacked this up. I already jacked up these rules. So, okay, so let me back up. If you burn something in combat, everything gets bumped back to full. Because if you don't do that, then these combat encounters, you'll just like, you won't have anything to fight back with, and you'll just end up dying. But even with that being the case, I'm gonna still try the broad swipes. It's very unlikely, and I'm going to try to. No, it's just snake eyes again. Well, what the heck? Okay, okay. Then I will do. Let's see, hold on. I'll rotate this 2 more times. Arrows and missiles slung from afar. It's the same thing. I'm going to try to use my wilderness elusivity and find some way to disengage. I just need to get away. We're just going to use the animal form. Wilderness elusivity and animal form. Okay, I'm going to use my animal form. I'm going to just get away from these people as far as I possibly can, and that will be my effort. And I just need. It's very reasonable for me to do that. It's very, very reasonable for me to do that, game. So can I please just get like 2? I can't. Okay, I get 2. All right, so a 6 counts as 2 successes. A 3, 4, 5 is 1 success. Okay, so 2 successes. Whenever you have an encounter that is in the middle of your game, you only need to win 1 challenge against them. That's it. Unlike this, where I'm going to need to take all these cards, well, all the scene cards at least, and then fight that health bar. Okay. So on the subject, if you get more successes than required, is there a benefit or a boon? Hey, Vertubok. It is still in flux. I was thinking at one point that you could, if you get more successes than are necessary during your normal like adventuring, then you don't actually exhaust your card. Like it goes back to normal. But I'm not sure that really makes sense. So I'll have to play with it a little bit. Got it. We're just we're screwed for later. Yeah, this is like bad times. Really bad times for me. Okay, so we beat that encounter. I think I'm gonna have to. I fail this deed. I'm almost certain, because I've lost the stuff that I think would actually help me against this. Like I need my weapon, but the natural ones, the double natural one, by most recent rules, it burns the card, and once these are wounded, like they're just done. You can't use them again unless you have a card that is able to heal them, which there are some that exist, but we didn't make our character that way. So what am I doing? Let me see. So I'm going to enter this chapel. Let's see, what time of day would it be? It would be nighttime. Okay, so we're gonna go to the nighttime. It says, once dead and buried, now free from its binds. And I'm gonna use my doctrine knowledge to like understand that. Well, no, that doesn't seem right. Maybe since my character is so jacked up, I'm gonna pray for guidance, whatever form that takes on. And maybe we'll just like we'll just talk. Let's just talk to the undead. I don't know. Yeah, we'll pray for guidance. And I think that my character's goal is to find swift passage, given that they just got the living crap kicked out of them, to still make it to this village. I don't know, that seems really unlikely. That seems unlikely. And it doesn't actually have to do with like with the dead. I just imagine them just being in the just like roaming around in the darkness and stuff. But my faith will guide me here. So I'm hoping that I can get like 2 6s, and then maybe we'll be able to heal a card or something that way. There's 1. Okay, so 3 successes. So that's fine. All right, and now I'm going to. It is. Well, it's nighttime. I should have just rested instead of doing this at all. Let's see. Okay, I really need to get to Hightown to help these people, but we will rest because we must rest. So I'm gonna move this. Is it dawn? That is dawn. Move this down here. I'll take this back, and then. And then what would it be? It'd be day after. Man, I don't know. I think I need to flee. Hey, you don't need to rest as much when you have cards. Yeah, exactly. Ooh, man, that is rough. That is really rough. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna. I don't even know what to do. I feel like there needs to be a mechanism where I can figure out the wound situation, because you don't want things to get less fun over time, and that is what this ends up being. Is that when you lose capability, you're like, okay, well, I can't actually perform in a way that my character would be capable of performing in. And it leaves you very little recourse, because things are always only going to get worse if I keep resting like this. And again, that's like the game, but it doesn't need to be. We can figure out a solution to make this more interesting. Okay, well, you know what? I'm just gonna rest. I'm just gonna YOLO it. And was it day? Okay. And then this, so I'll heal that back up. Okay, so now this is the final scene for me. So Raucous Revelry, lowered guard, lifted pockets. Okay, so in this town or whatever, like I'm getting to the start of it. I'm just gonna improvise and see what happens. Well, man, this animal farm's doing a lot of work, but. Oh, this animal form card doesn't have my. It doesn't actually have the bumpers that it's supposed to have. Was not even paying attention to that. No, okay. Well, it wouldn't really matter, I think, anyway. But it does some stuff where it's just like, if there is a sight, like it's like sight is soul and soul is sight. Like it lets you. Flex into these different stats, but since we're like unsteady on the rules that we're using for those stats, it doesn't really matter. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna use my animal form, like I pop into that, and I say it's a fox, and we're just gonna kind of get through all the mess, so we're not like really taking dealing with any of this, because we gotta get to this big salamander thing. And that's 1 success. Okay, well, by those rules, I'm gonna flip this. Is it nighttime yet? It's nighttime. I'm gonna use that to rest. I'm gonna flip these both back, because again, resting at nighttime is something that you can do. And now I just have these 2, and I'm gonna fight this. So all of these, group them all up. We're gonna move them here. This is the health. Was that 10? That's 10. Okay, so we finally got here. That was rough. That was like really, really rough. Let's see. During the boss fight, if your cards are tapped, do you have to rest mid-fight to get them back or potentially head? have more health for the boss. So whenever you take whenever one of your cards gets burnt, you flip everything else, or everything else becomes rested again. Unfortunately, since we already had a fight earlier and got the crap kicked out of us, it was like I'm just in a really, really bad place to do this. Because it already jacked up some of my cards. And as a character, when you get stronger, the equivalent of leveling up, you'll have more capabilities. So you'll have more traits, which by virtue of that means that you'll have more possibility, which by virtue of that means you'll have more health at any given moment. And that will also mean that you can go on like longer adventures without needing to lick your wounds. But since this is the very first adventure that we're on, might need to just kind of take my licks. Okay, so this thing has 10 health. So the way that this works, and is slightly different, is that rolling more successes actually does more damage. And so I can't remember where we ended this card. Or was it upside down? So it'd be like here. Okay, so we're going to start this here. So it says barbs of obsidian sharper than steel. That would be nice if I had like, if I was a walking fortress or something. But I think that we're fighting this thing, and I don't really have any capabilities because this is all jacked up. I think that's something that I need to consider. I think it's something that I need to consider. But we're going to keep our distance from this thing. So it has weapons. It's like throwing its weight around. We're going to use our animal form or wilderness elusivity. And these terms, because of how much play I'm getting out of animal form, I think I'm going to change this one over here to something else. Like it needs to be more diverse so that you don't double up on function. And that's just a tuning thing. But I'm going to try to be just really elusive and get away. And that should be reasonable. So I'm going to, can we, okay, sorry. Just need to like roll these dice. Okay, so one success. One success is a draw, so I take damage, but it also, it would pull away its health. So it has 9 health. But again, sorry, that one's jacked up. I need to burn this again. So what happens at this point, since I just did that, all I can do is improvise. And when you improvise, it's like you're not using a card. You're rolling flat on a 1d6, which the odds actually aren't bad, because you have a 20% chance of like surpassing, like of getting a 6. So that'd be 2 successes. But things are pretty jacked up. So, okay. So I'm going to move this. What's the next one? Heat swelters and ambience, a draining, disorienting haze. So I don't know what I would do here. I think I would try to duck into cover, maybe some sort of building nearby, or maybe even get more distance. I don't know. But the whole like ambient temperature seems to be rising in this location. And there are some lineages that are really good at dealing with this. I don't think mine is. So I'm going to improvise that. And when you do that, you roll 1d6. That's 1 success, but it's only 1 success. So it pulls off its health, and then something gets burnt. I'm going to say it's this one right here. And when it gets burnt, everything else gets healed. But again, we just have the one card. So it is very, very low, very low chance that I'll be able to beat this thing. This says it bargains for power, either yours or theirs. And I think what I see in this moment is that, like, I wonder if this elemental force is actually the new recruit. So remember our quest at the start of this. I wonder if they are like cursed. Or I wonder if maybe they summon this creature by mistake and is just like rampaging. So I'm familiar with curses according to this here. So we're going to use this, and this seems reasonable. So let me, to like suss out what's going on and what it's asking for, what it actually wants. Okay, 2 successes. So that's good. It's not gonna jack us up. It'll take this 2 health away, and then we'll spin it twice. 1, 2. Barbs of Acidity and Sharpen the Steel. It has 6 health left. So all I can do at this point is improvise. So I am going to just try to keep talking to it from a distance. Maybe I don't even like understand the language. I just know that the thing is cursed, and I'm going to try to help it. You know, like appease it and say, like, try to calm it down. Make sure it's not, you know, drink a Mountain Dew. Stop killing people. And that's a 1. Okay, it doesn't like that. So it's going to burn this, and then I die. And then I die, basically. So I could, like, flee this scene, but this is essentially it. And hopefully you're able to see the progression to where we just jack things up with this dude here. And I think that there are cases in which I should have tried to improvise instead of using a card, because what happens if I use a card and I don't feel really confident about it, and then I end up losing that, I lose that card, and then I also lose whatever I failed on, or like the other one, because I exhaust something to use it, and then I exhaust something because I failed. So like there were instances where I could have just played better. But that's it. That's this game currently. You can see that there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up. But I think it is only cleanup. And you can let me know whether or not you feel that is the case, or if there's something like major that seems off. And I'm responsive to that sort of, you know, feedback. But some things I still need to figure out are the specificity of stuff like this. Whether this is enough, if it's enough information to allow somebody to really to create an interesting experience for them, or if it's too loose and there's too much interpretation. There are other tools that you can use to help with that, like potentially these cards here that are scenes. Yeah, like some of this is tuning. So if I look at, it says, you know, barking, busking, an audience of distraction. So the implication might be that you're just like getting off track by virtue of moving through this town. You know, you're not sure where to go, you're confused. So if you have like a skill that can help you with that, help you navigate something, or you know, if you could talk to people, ask them for directions, like that might help you get you back on track. But I can totally imagine people reading this and being like, what do I do with this? Like, how do I use this phrase? And if that's the case, then that means that there is tuning that needs to be done, either on the phrase or to give the people more tools to decipher what they need to be doing. So, and that could be like in the form of this, as little, like, you know, phrases at the bottom, or it could be more structured. Like if we really wanted to, you know, like putting So something about these icons is that if you really wanted to take away the agency from a player and say like just match the icons, that is something that you can do, and then this just becomes flavor text. But I feel like that kind of defeats the point of the game. You know, this is a game that is meant to be like it says at the start on the page. It is a card game or it is a pocket TTRPG for storytellers and strategists. The strategy is figuring out where to go, what to do, at what time. The storytelling is taking the phrases and then interpreting them. And realistically, I think that people who like to journal are going to get a lot out of this because they can explain like what the story is, and then they can take that, they can expand upon it as needed. They can incorporate other elements, with these other scenes, and it'll feel like they're making the game their own. Which, if you play something like Corico, for example, I think that they're really good about giving you tools to help, kind of write your own stories in this way. This is a little bit more structured, but hopefully there are some tools here that help kind of illuminate that same thing for you. Let's see. Henry says, I like the part where the stuff gets compiled from multiple cards. That's definitely a strength. I think there might be more mechanics in that vein. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I can see that. You're in the Discord. Just if you have any specific ideas, I'm totally interested in hearing what everybody thinks. Let's see. Bart says, very nice to use a virtual tabletop instead of mocking up cards. Yeah. I only downloaded Tabletop Simulator last night. Never played it before. It is pretty clunky, but it does what I need it to do. And I try to keep it clean so the focus was just on the cards. But you can do a lot with this platform. Henry says, like maybe when you burn a card, you pull an enemy card, and the enemy card could have some type of prompt on it on the top of the fighting prompts they have. I could see that, and there's also like a lot of space. There's just like unused space on the back of these cards too, where you could probably do some prompt work, and that could be fun. But I like the art. Barth says, like, certainly see how certain characters' builds can be tricky, like yours was. Yeah, so there's, if we, let's see if I can do some synergy stuff here. So this one says, so if I were to hit with this weapon, it says, if I hit, burn me to double it. This is useful against, it's really just like as a last stand situation where, if you were to hit this thing, you can just burn your great weapons, and then you'd hit it twice. You'd double your the amount of hits that you had. So if you had like a bunch of hits, if you rolled boxcars or something like that, 2 6s, that's 4 total successes. And if you doubled that, that's 8 total damage in that vein. And that'd be like, I think you just win. Though our creature had 10 health by the end of it. But you can see where some of these side benefits help. And then let's see what I got for. So here's an example of just like, okay, reduce failures related to dialogue. Anytime you reduce a failure, the failure gets ignored. So as an Atlian character, I'm probably wanting not to use this card for one, like, because I want to maintain this passive. So I'd probably create a character that has the ability to like talk to people and coerce them and that sort of thing. That way, if I did fail, it reduces it, so I wouldn't have to exhaust like another card, if I did fail it. And then this one says like, rest me upon reaching water. Okay. So like I would know that if I drew a bunch of cards and then one of them was the shoreline, so this one, for example, I would know that the moment that I pick this card up, I'm going to be able to rest this one for free. And there's stuff like that. This says rest me when another is burnt. And this one, I think need to finalize some rules on it though, because the intention was like, okay, if you burn a card while you're adventuring, this one immediately becomes available. But this was also before the combat. Like, okay, if a card gets burnt, then everything else flips, which would make this redundant. This one, so the strategist class is exhaust me in place of another. So much like the strategist in Distal, you can use the strategist to so like if I can use a different card. And so if I like use this one, my weapons, for example, I could just exhaust this instead of exhausting this, like if I was in a combat encounter, and that would be very helpful. Let's see. Gonna have a tutorial with cards in a certain order. Tutorial with cards in a certain order. Oh, that's an interesting idea. You mean as far as like scenes that you go through? Because the characters are pretty straightforward to build. You know, one lineage, one class, one trait, one weapon, and that's your default character. But making a starter quest might be interesting. Also, I think that the difficulty is something that we'll have to tune a lot too, because when you're looking at so at the start I pulled 5 different beats, right? It's like, yeah, you gotta be able to get all 5 of these done. I think at the start doing 3 of these might be like legit. I like this one. Kinsguard, exhaust me in place of a weapon. So just like the strategist can exhaust it in place of anything, this lineage can also exhaust itself in place of a weapon. So like if you really wanted to create like a melee focused a combat focused character, you can do that. And then if you're playing with multiple people, you can create a party that is diverse and has different capabilities. And that's when I think things could get really interesting. Also, this one has something on the back. It says draws against foes are a hit. So anytime that you're drawing against, a foe, it'll be a hit instead of a hit against you. But that's after this is already burnt. So there are other things like that. Kinsguard has something like that. See if I could find. Actually, the Ferryman has one that's like heal me upon killing a foe. So it's not useful for the final foe, but if you fight a foe in the middle of like your adventure, like random encounter sort of situation, you can recover this card if you end up. I say killing. It's probably not the correct terminology. Then what else we got? Where is Oh yeah, so this Berserker too. If I flip this, it says burn a strength to heal me. So if you happen to build a character that has a number of strength cards like this, and that maybe they've already been exhausted, you could just burn it, and then this one comes back into play, and you get your Berserker class back. But you are also like burning your cards. Yeah, the backside effects of classes and lineages. Yeah. If I can, I'm sure like a lot of this stuff will change but it definitely feels more interesting when a burnt card isn't just out of commission. It's like, oh, it actually gives you some sort of twist. So there's always a reason to use everything. Like every decision that you're making has some value. Did you say the option to add party members' equipment? The ideal is that this game would be playable with your friends. So you can play it solo like we just did. But if you had a party, so like, they can roll up a character, and then I still need to figure out the rules, but when you approach an encounter, either of you can be contributing to that encounter, and you could be like sharing the burdens between you, and therefore you have more capabilities, you have a higher opportunity for success, and then you'll be able to go on longer adventures. Like there'll need to be some way to like balance the difficulty, because it will make things easier for sure. Burning a card seems like it should be an expected part of the game, signifying like change the character goes through. Yes, and like Barth says, distance is built to show that growth and scars progression. Yeah, there's definitely some thoughts here. When I was thinking of progression, one of the ways that I thought would be interesting is that if you were keeping track of every failed scene. So if I failed this one, and this one, and this one, and actually the amount of failures that I would need is equal to the total amount of cards that I have that compose my character. So I would need like 4 failures. And then I would look at these and say, okay, which one, like what do I have the most of as far as a stat? Soul. Those are the ones that I failed on the most. Therefore, when I look for a new trait, I would pick one that is soul. That seems a little bit restrictive, but the mentality was like the things that you're failing at, you're actually getting better at. But I'm not really sure that really makes sense, given that these are so diverse that it might not make sense. It's just like, okay, yeah, no, I failed a few scenes in the Entwood, the Bog, and whatever else, and now I'm an Inquisitor. Probably doesn't make too much sense. The other way that I was thinking about it was that it would still be like the amount of failures, I think, or maybe like the quests completed. But like the number of quests completed, whatever arbitrary number is, you would pick traits that you like. So like, you'd hold on to maybe 3 in total. You're like, yeah, I like these 3. And then, well, I guess you can't draw randomly. My thought was that you can draw one randomly, and then that becomes the thing that you get. So it's not like you're no longer cultivating your character specifically, but you're trying to stay in the ballpark. And then you're just interested to see where it goes. But again, they have the icons on the back, so that kind of blows that idea out of the water. All right. Well, I think that is it. We've gone for more than an hour at this point, and thank you for hanging out. I haven't actually checked on the campaign or anything, but maybe I'll do that. Let's see my face. Wait, hold on just a moment. It's just so funny. Okay, goodbye, table. All right, let me get out of this tabletop simulator. And we will go check on the campaign. Cool. Okay. Cool. We already have I already have 24 backers. Very nice. Spent under 2 hours on stream. That's pretty good. It's cruising so far. All right. Well, thank you very much for hanging out. I hope you find the game interesting. Definitely like a lot of tuning that needs to get done. And I think that that we'll probably do... So what's a little bit obnoxious is that this is my fault. Is that I ordered another deck, like it's a full deck, with my current version of the game, and some of the stuff is going to change. So, but I'll have another prototype. It will be my second prototype. I need to not do that because, like, I need to, now that I have Tabletop Simulator, I'll just be able to make changes. But yeah. Again, for anybody who missed it at the start, here is the initial. The Fury's even on there. The initial prototype, and these are game size cards, which I didn't actually know what that meant initially. But poker sized is like the normal playing card, and also what this campaign will give us. But I was like a little bit disappointed when I got this. Just little baby cards for my not baby hands. But that was the original prototype, and it was good enough to see that the game wasn't working. And now we'll have a new prototype, and then it'll be good enough to see what we need to tweak to make sure that the game is fun for everybody. But thank you all. I'll catch y'all on the flippity flip.